Hey everyone, it's Amy here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to share with you guys my review and swatches and some comparisons of the new Tarte Big Blush Book 2. And I was so excited to get my hands on this because I missed out on the first blush book last year, so I was not missing out on this one. I was like, I have to have this. And so here is what the outer packaging looks like. Now, I know it's called the Big Blush Book, but I was not expecting it to be this big. I mean, look. It's like the size of my face. That's not what I was expecting, but the packaging is really pretty. It's like orangey, pinks, nudes. It's kind of indicative of what's in the palette, and so this is what the outer packaging looks like. It is for the holidays. Oh, I can't believe already we're getting our first like holiday collections releasing, but you do have like to and from on here, and it says it's holiday 2016. So this did release last week, and I paid for really fast shipping. That way I could play with it the remainder of the week and the weekend and get this review up for you guys. It did retail for $60, and you do get a total of 8 big full-size blushes in here. And so it is out of stock. It sold out super duper fast. Not sure if they're going to bring it back or not, but I figured you guys would love to hear a review and see some swatches of this palette. So here again is what the outer packaging looks like. It's essentially, it says the same thing, Big Blush Book 2 and Tarte, same design and colors. I think it's totally cute. And then this opens and it does revolve like all the way around, and here is what the palette looks like. And we will get into all the colors and things like that in a second, but first I do want to address the packaging because this totally did surprise me. And it's nothing against Tarte. Like, I understand it doesn't make a difference. It's more of just an observation. It doesn't make a difference as far as me loving this product or not, but this is actually really cheap packaging. It's not even thick cardboard. It's like styrofoam cardboard in here, or just styrofoam in between the cardboard, so it's really flimsy. This like turns all the way around and stuff. So a lot of people on Instagram, including Tarte and everyone, was saying this is super travel friendly, and I'm like, there's nothing to me travel friendly about this other than it is thin. But I mean, this opens so easily. I'd be afraid that my stuff would break and that other stuff would get in here and get contaminated, as well as the fact that for some reason in my head everything looks smaller on Instagram. I was expecting it to be like about that size or similar to the color correcting palette and things like that, and for some reason I wasn't expecting it to be this big, and I was also expecting it to be that same packaging where it's nice hard material similar to like their other blush palettes. Instead, it's this cheap cardboard. So again, just as observation, I understand it's a huge palette why they did it. A good thing about these is that these are all magnetized, so you can take them out of here, depot them, and put them in Z palettes if you did want to make them really travel friendly and put them in some kind of casing that's going to protect them for travel, because I honestly don't think traveling with this is really that efficient and really worth the trouble. It's so big and I would be so afraid stuff would break. So for me, just an observation, it's not travel friendly in my opinion, and I don't think the packaging is that nice. I think it's adorable, but I don't think it's super friendly or protective. So just an observation. I may depot these. I haven't decided because the packaging is cute. Part of the reason you're getting this adorable holiday palette is because you're paying for the price of this cute packaging. So I may go ahead and keep them in there. But as far as the shades go, you do get a really nice array of colors. It's not a palette where everything's all pinks or everything's all nudes. You get a really bright kind of coral color. You get more of a corally nude. You get a couple mid-tone pinks. You get some nudes right here. And then you get more of a nude goldie, what I consider to be a blush topper. Some people may use it as a highlight. I personally like it as a blush topper. So I like the color arrangement in here. I find that you get a good amount of everything, corals, pinks, nudes, golden colors. Like, I really like the color selection in here. Another thing I did want to mention as an observation, the formula and everything in here was made in China, which Tarte tends to do with many of their holiday palettes, whether it's eyeshadows or blushes and things like that. And at first that kind of alarmed me. I was a little afraid because Tarte, when they do that with their eyeshadows, I tend to really not like their eyeshadows. They tend to be way too powdery, and the formula is just totally different and I don't like them. But I started looking at my other blush palettes that I have from like limited edition collections, and they're all made made in China. The Tartiste palette, the clay blush palette, was made in China, and then the Bling It On palette from the prior year was also made in China. And so when I started playing with them and comparing them, the formula is exactly the same, and I love these, and I never held it against it that it was made in China. Maybe the one distributor and maker they have in China is actually really good when it comes to the blush formula, but the new Big Blush 2 is the same exact formula. It feels really great. Same thing you would always expect, and I find that these are very, very similar to the individual ones, which are not made in China. So just an observation, it is made in China, but I do think it's the same great quality as the other palettes that we're used to, as well as the individual palettes. Or the individual pans, I should say. So again, here's what the palette looks like. Like I just said, same great formula. I think the formula is fantastic. I like to use these two blushes whenever I use Tarte blushes. I use kind of a fluffier synthetic brush. This is the Sigma F10, and then I use a goat hair brush, which is my MAC 163. Now with all Tarte blushes, I do prefer a goat hair brush. I find that it picks up the product really nicely and not too pigmented, and then puts it on really naturally on the skin. And so same thing with this new palette. I do really like to use it with my goat hair brush and find that it just applies the best. So this is the brush I love to apply it with. And so let's go ahead and get to swatching, since the formula and everything is the same to me and really great and amazing as all other palettes and formulas from Tarte. So let's go ahead and get to swatching, and then as I swatch, I will compare some of these shades to the other two palettes, because I do think there are 2 shades out of the 8 that are exactly the same from the Bling It On holiday one and from the Tartiste, the Tartiste, I mean, or however you say it. I think it's Tartiste. I think so. I don't know, from this Tartiste palette. So the first one is called Quirky, and this is just a really, really bright corally pink. It doesn't look quite as pink right now, but when I swatch it, you will see how coral it is. Now this one, I do find there is an exact dupe in the Tartiste palette, and this one is called Live. To me, these are almost identical when you swatch them. So there we go, right next to each other. So this one right here was from the new Big Blush Book 2, and then this one was from the Tartiste palette. You can see they're both a beautiful kind of bright corally pink color, but I do find that they're pretty much exactly the same. So moving on, this shade right here is called Quirky. And this one is kind of a beautiful nudie coral color. It's a little bit deeper of a peach. And then we have Soulful, and Soulful is another shade that I think is very, very similar to the Bling It On palette. So let's go ahead and swatch these. So this one right here is called Quirky. And then this one is a pretty, pretty pink, which I do have on right now. I think it's just a really pretty kind of ballerina pink. And this one is called Soulful. So let me go ahead and swatch it to the one that I think is very similar from the Bling It On palette, and that one is called Dollface right here. I think they're very, very similar. So here we go. So they're what they look like. This one right here was Quirky, then we had from the Blush Book Soulful, and then we have the one called Dollface from the Bling It On palette. So very, very similar again. So going next to it, we have Lively, which is a little bit darker of a pink. Then we have Thrilled, which is a really pretty nude. This one's probably my favorite because I love these kind of cool tone nudes. Then we have Dreamy, which is a classic mauve. And then we have Feisty, which is in between a nude and a mauve color. So this first one is really pretty. It has a little bit of a berry tone to it, and that is the one called Lively. And then this is my favorite nude called Thrilled. And then this one right here is like a true mauve shade, and that one is called Dreamy. And then the last one is kind of a cross, I find, between nude and a pink. And so this one is called Feisty. So all those right there are really, really pretty. And the last one in the middle, you could use as a highlighter if you wanted to. It's a little bit too dark for me, so I like to use it as a really lightly as a blush topper, but if you have a deeper skin tone or medium to deep, I think it'd be really pretty. But this one has a beautiful kind of golden iridescent peach color about it, but it's really pretty, and so you could use this as a highlighter, or you can use it as a blush topper like I like to use it, but really, really pretty. And this is the only one that has chunks of glitter in it. Nothing chunky about it, but definitely has chunks, where everything else in this palette is matte. So you get 7 mattes and you get 1 glitter blush, and so that's what's really cool about it, is that this one is the one with shimmer, so you can make any of these shimmery if you wanted to, or you could keep them matte. Now, as far as the other colors compared to the other palettes, they do look a little similar at first. However, when I started swatching the rest of the pinks and the nude and mauve colors in this palette compared to the other two palettes, there was nothing identical or quite similar compared to those other two that I showed you that were pretty much exact dupes. Everything else has been new and doesn't look exactly the same. So overall, I'm really happy with this palette. I'm really excited that I got my hands on the Big Blush book this year. I think the colors in this palette are absolutely fantastic. I love the formula. They're very, very long wearing. They're really pigmented. They build up very nicely. They blend out very, very well. And so same great formula I'm used to with all my other Tarte palettes and my individual Tarte blushes. The only thing I'm not crazy about is the packaging being a little bit flimsy and it being cardboard. But like I said, if you don't like the packaging, you can definitely easily take these out and put them in a Z palette. So overall, really happy and excited about this palette. And I'm really super excited about the upcoming additional blush palette coming out from Tarte. They're going to have one where it's 5 pans and then you flip it over and there's 5 pans as well. So it's going to be a really cool palette. I'm hoping that that one has a little bit more sturdy packaging like this or the Tarte Corrector palettes. That's kind of what I'm hoping it's going to look like and not something like this. Regardless of the packaging, for $60 you are getting 8 full-size blushes that are the same quality as the other Tarte blushes that I have in my collection. So overall, I'm really, really impressed by this and I hope you guys found the review and swatches and comparison really helpful. If you did, give this video a big thumbs up and let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts on the new Big Blush book is from Tarte. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and chat with you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay tuned to all my upcoming videos and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!